Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of VNture podcasts with your hosts again, Taros113 and MR. It's already this time in the month for us to cover our Readports for the month of June. Basically, MR and I are just going to talk about some of the VNs we've been reading this past month, our thoughts, our progress, and any opinions we want to share on them so far. It's just a pretty chill and relaxed way to talk about what we've been up to. And so, MR, how about you take us away with whatever you want to talk about first?
Yeah, okay, so I need to take us back to the previous report. I made a joke and I didn't connect the dots correctly because I mentioned Undertale. And the 9 titles with Ars Magna that I'm talking about being one of them, they have a specific structure. They tend to congregate into 2 endings, or 2 routes, or 2 variants, however you can slice it. One is very evil, and one is very good. So they tend to congregate to chaos, or they can congregate to law ending. And that was the case here as well. So this is kind of similar to how Undertale does the genocide and pacifist. Right? So that was my comparison that I did not connect last episode because I completely forgot. And since last time...
So just so I understand, so like basically you have 2 different ways of playing the main character, as whether just the simple answer is playing it as the good guy or playing it as a villain?
I think it's more like you have few, at least in this title, you have few points that will shape your allegiance, let's call it, to the law or chaos endings. And that dictates what will be the final chapter of resolution of all those events that transpired until then.
Mm-hmm. The actions you take have consequences on the ending.
Yeah. And I think this title did it... how can I say it? The most... I would say obfuscated even, because those choices had a delayed effect. Very late do those consequences come into play, which was kind of unexpected from their titles, where they often do the feedback loop very early, and unexpectedly so. One of the features that Ninetale likes to weave in its stories, if you don't go into chaos, if you don't go into order, so you kind of are in between, you often have the bad ending. Because you really need to commit to either side. Otherwise, being wishy-washy doesn't solve the problem at all in either direction. In this case, it's kind of weirdly done, because if you don't commit to either one, you can choose. So you're kind of forced to do that.
It gives you a forced choice of, okay, now pick a side since you've been sitting for so long.
Yep. You were sitting so hard. Pick now. Like, okay, fine. So, at the very least, it's not as pronounced as in, for example, Venus Blood series, but ultimately it does finalize into either chaos or law. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, the chaos route I did not like. I can't stress enough how hollow it felt, how kind of boring, and how I think the atmosphere of being alien, because you were so evil, you were so inhuman, so detached from morality. I get that, but ultimately, it just was so emotionless. The chaos route was basically boiled down. Yeah, let's. I'm anarchist. Let's do it. Like, okay, how's that solution? I don't know. I was let down. I even went out of my way and I said, okay, in case I missed anything, let's check the guide. Right? Did I make a wrong choice? Did I miss a story? Did there was a side quest I missed? Because there's so many things unexplained. And the guide itself said, yeah, that's it. I know, disappointing. I'm like, wow, thanks, guide.
Even whoever wrote up a guide for you just felt the need to tell you, well, this was a letdown.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
and
that sucks.
yeah. But on the flip side, the order, so the lawful one, the law ending was, I liked it. I mean, it's like, I don't even know how to compare. All the questions I had left over were answered. There were so many, uh, because they like to say main quest, side quest in this structure. But side routes of characters explain having their arcs completed. Everything happened here. Like, why? Why so disbalanced? I don't know. I felt like that's kind of weird.
Okay. Sometimes I read, VNs like that, where I wonder, like, man, this could have been so much better if this was a linear story. If there just weren't any choices, or if there's just one true route and a whole bunch of bad endings. Sometimes I read things and it's like I wonder if they felt obligated to make different routes. Because
Yeah.
one route seems to be the clear, best, and most comprehensive one, and then there's others that just leave on cliffhangers or have nothing to do with anything or just don't really answer anything. And that reminds me a lot of what you're talking about here. One good route and then one nothing route.
Yeah, yes. Oh my! It's so funny how nothing route sounds so accurate, because it is like everybody gave up from kind of that vibe from the MC side. They became kind of lifeless and emotionless, and that's kind of it. Some people are becoming heroic antagonists to oppose them, but ultimately you defeat them, and then the game abruptly ends. Like, how is that satisfying? That's so weird. Now, I kept comparing it to different titles from Ninetale, and I have to do it because Venus Blood series made it so much better. Because the premise is you play the race of demons. So you already are the evil faction, let's call it, right? And they specifically never say good ending and bad ending. No. They specifically say chaos ending or low ending. Because as demons, you can have two approaches of the situation. Obviously, you are doing that the evil way, but you can be chaotic and destroy everything. Or maybe you have to assimilate to the land that you're conquering or that you negotiate with or invade. Like, this makes sense. Both are kind of evil. I mean, because you're playing the demons, they have warped morality. But ultimately, how you guide the process of integrating people you conquer or demolishing villages, like, that shapes the story.
Of course.
Like, yeah, and it makes sense. You create different enemies based upon those choices. You are still the invader. You still are playing the bad guys. But how you behave shapes who your next opponents will be, depending on your choices. That is so much better in Venus Blood titles than in this. Because you're kind of like the group of eco-hippies that try to clean the environment, and one side of the story is, yeah, I gave up, let's pollution go on. Like, huh? Like,
Kind of opposite to the whole premise, huh?
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I like pollution, and I snort pollution. Like, what the
Your voice is getting super distorted and stuff as you're raging
sorry.
out. No, that's great. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I also get polluted. This again, ultimately, I like what they tried to achieve. There are some unexpected twists and turns I am not sure if I liked or not, because those, to say too much would spoil the surprise. But some of the twists were really cool, and mostly I talk about low route, okay, or common route. We don't talk about the chaos, okay? We don't talk about that. And some of them were really cool. I kind of like that. And they kept you on your toes until the very end. They really played into the alchemist vibe and cleaning the environment for the longest time really nicely, especially how grim it is. And I illustrated in the previous episode, like, there's no nice solution. Sometimes you need to make an operation and install a prosthetic leg to someone to save them. or transplant an organ, and you forever will have a mechanical part inside of you. Like, damn, those are grim things.
Mm. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Are there usually those sort of situations in Alchemist Vars Magna?
I mean, oftentimes it's like, oh, it's impossible, I don't know how to do it, or, so they come up with some sort of solution. But sometimes, yeah, it comes down to, I need to amputate that person, or I need to do some sort of risky and life-changing treatment to heal them. But yeah, it will maybe have side effects you don't want.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's like... So yeah, I kind of like it ultimately. Like I said, it's very hard to talk about the ending and the twistiest of twists they presented at the end. And some of them are like, okay, that's cool. And some are like, really? Now?
So even despite some of these twists that were not the greatest, and that bad chaos route, would you still say you enjoyed the VN though?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so they're not that. They're not so awful that they drag everything down.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think oddly enough, the absolute worst part was the gameplay, because that was the forgettable part. Yeah. I'm sorry to say. It was the most forgettable part, which is so weird to say, because I played Venus Blood, which was the strategy, planning, invasion, armies, and there were days when I just sat down, hard difficulty, big chapter, and entire day I haven't seen the story because I was strategizing so hard.
Aha, nice.
Be like that, but I played in the higher difficulties. So
rather, the part I'm more surprised about is, for me, usually, if there's an aspect of a VN that's just, boring or nothing really happening, I'd at least prefer that to something bad that pisses me off. Like if you have story twists like you mentioned that were not the greatest, they're just okay. Versus story twists that just make me angry at how poorly it was handled and how much it ruined the VN. It's like that's the kind of stuff that would annoy me more, that would have a stronger impression. But rather for you said that the worst part with this was just the forgettable normal gameplay instead?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it was ever present. And it felt like it wasted my time. I mean, what can I say? In the option menu, after you finish the first time game, right? You can disable the gameplay. That says everything.
That's oh man, yeah.
Right?
Danganronpa 2 had that too. There was a really quick segment where it turned into like a point and click adventure game, and they're just like, hey, at the beginning, there's a button here if you just want to skip the whole thing. And it's like, okay, wow, that's a lot of confidence that you made a fun mini game.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Okay, wild.
Yeah, this is like, Alchemist of Ars Magna. Would I recommend it? No, play Venus Blood. They made it so much better than this.
Okay, Venus Blood instead. Okay.
Yeah. So, what did you brought?
Yeah, wow. Rather on a different note, I wanted to talk about something I've been reading called Mamiya. Mamiya is a difficult VN to describe. On the one hand, it has a premise. It takes place in a modern setting, and the world is ending. However, usually this is, in most VNs and stories and whatnot, that would be the focus. And this, it's more of a backdrop. It's more of a background detail that it's just, at some point, the world's going to end, but everyone else is just oddly nonchalant about, I guess that's not the right word to use. More so, resigned. It's just, it's going to happen. Not content. Yeah, resigned is the better word.
I see.
The story instead focuses on 4 young men who attend a boy's funeral, and they all knew him in some ways, some closer than others. As they move on with their lives, the story focuses on each of their personal struggles in daily life. And there is the appearance of a mysterious magical child named Mamiya, who seems invisible to everyone else but them. And this Mamiya individual throws a wrench into their lives. So I'm mostly through the prologue, which covers these 4 young men, and it's actually structured as 4 different routes, basically. At the beginning, you get that short scene at the beginning at the funeral, and then it splits, and then you follow one person's life in particular as things turn out well or not so well for them. Mamiya so far is basically a dark character journey, in the sense that there's a lot of struggles and failure and introspection involved. But more than that, it's also the kind of VN I like, where it's also got bits and pieces of other stuff too. It's very well rounded. It talks about, relationships between characters and the small happiness that they all have in their normal days. And of course, the mystery that's bubbling beneath the surface is this strange, magical Mamiya fellow. It's like, what is their motive? What's going on here, really?
Like, it's weird that I feel like there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to describing a dying world to have world building, which is some funny for this dying world, the world building. But ultimately, you want to tell, be it strictly or environmentally, how it came to be, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know if it's just that I haven't gotten all that far into the VN, so I don't know if this is going to be a bigger plot point in the future, but it's just a sort of thing that seems to be a recurring backdrop more than anything.
And now to sum it up from what I had from you, it's like you have a dying world. People living in that world resigned, but living their happiest, despite what is, obviously very dark. And possibility for good world building. Can you stop adding to my backlog? Can you stop?
Well, if it means anything, I don't think these people are living their happiest lives. They would, I'm sure they would like to, but what they want and the reality they're facing is very different.
Yeah, but still, that makes for a compelling setting that the worst is really depressing, but you still live the happiest you can despite of it.
One reason I like it, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but this is a nagging belief I have about plot-focused visual novels, is that the more male characters there are, the better it is.
God. Yes.
Because look, okay, let's be honest. Okay. If you have a whole bunch of cute heroines, then it's like you've got that as a crutch. Like that's always the fallback, is that no matter what, you can at least entice readers with like, oh, it's the cute girls and they're doing cute things, or it's just, they're pretty. They're the eye candy. And I'm not saying that's wrong at anything, and I'm sure I know there are plenty of plot-focused visual novels that have mostly heroines that are fantastic. Like Chu Sotsu. I'm gonna plug that in right now.
Yeah.
But if you have male characters, then you don't have that luxury.
Yes, exactly.
Those creators, they really have to go hard on the plot and the characterization and the struggles involved. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. It's so easy. It's so easy for the mainstream approach to VN. It's like, this character has okay development, but it has fan service. It runs protagonist. But like, really? But for male characters, on the mainstream VNs, or the most popular VNs, I should say, they don't have that. You have to earn a good response from viewer. You have to earn being an amazing character, because you can leverage your fan service or appeal or whatever cutesy quirk you have. You have to tell the story, and you have to incorporate that male side character to it. This is so true. I struggled to not spoil everything on Ars Magna, but it has so many amazing male characters in it.
Oh,
But I don't
nice.
want to spoil their awesome moments. But that was the same case with Realms 9. It was the same case with Venus Bloods. Whenever they had a male characters, they knew what they were doing. They squeezed the most out of them they could. And holy hell. Yes. You're absolutely correct.
Oh, that's cool. We got a kindred soul here. But yes, so that's why, that's kind of why stuff like this catches my eye sometimes. It's like, oh, it's generally highly received, but not many people know about a little work like this. And I see it's dark, plot-focused characterization and a mostly male cast. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. This is a Taros title.
Why? Can you say it's like about high school romance? Couldn't you end it with that? At least it would go away in my backlog some far away.
Goodness. Well, I don't know. I'm still reading it, and there's plenty to go through. So I don't know. Maybe things will change. So you don't put it on your backlog yet. I'll save you.
Okay. But you are so true. When you develop side characters, because on protagonist obviously you're gonna have some development, at least guaranteed. But if you have a male cast of characters, you have no leverage. You have to weave story. You have to sell them. There is no cutesy, quirky, weird anime waifu trope. Nope. Write them well. That's all you have?
Now, I have read bad VNs, though, where it's like, man, I wish there was at least some, like, cute ditzy heroines around, like you said. It's like, that would make this so much more bearable.
Yeah, but that's ultimately, they did not do those characters justice. And that's it.
Yeah.
They didn't have leverage and a crutch to fall off on. And the writing was not so good. But when it is good, oh my god, it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another note of how I found this is that there's basically only one publisher I really follow called Fruit Bat Factory. They have one game called 100% Orange Juice. Which it's kind of like Mario Party. It's a party game where you go around on a board and you have some special cards and movement stuff, and there's so much luck involved. It's more so a game of luck than skill.
Yeah, I played it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. They've also pumped out so much DLC for it.
Oh my god.
Dozens of individual characters, and they're all cheap. It's like you can just pick up some neat little costume sets or individual characters with their own decks and cards and stuff.
Yep.
Apparently, this is like their cash cow, where they can make easy money by putting in like barely any effort into it. Not to say that they don't, it's just that it's the sort of thing that probably takes them just a couple days to code and program and stuff.
Yeah, probably.
So then they can use their extra funds to scour the indie Japanese side of things, find some cool diamonds in the rough that they like, and translate them over and publish them in English. And they take on these projects even if they probably won't sell well, or they probably won't recoup their efforts. Something like Mamiya, which has a difficult premise and is mostly, male-dominated cast.
Damn. I mean, wow. Huh.
So I do like that. I like how they keep bringing over things, even if I don't always like them or they're not always my cup of tea. I always like seeing the kind of stuff Fruit Bat Factory is up to.
Yeah, I mean, every time I hear such approach, be it, like you say, founding something very niche, or in case of Alisoft, they try to incorporate novice artists into their games. So, for example, in Evenical, one thing that was pretty interesting is that some character sprites were drawn by novices that they debuted. They could try. Like, what? Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine you have an established title. This is the premise, this is the story, and now I'm hiring you as a novice. Design side quest characters. Like, what? That's so cool.
Yeah, that's extremely gracious of them. Get them some very valuable experience and, what's it called? A very nice reference point for future projects.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, whenever I hear either that approach or what you said, or I think Nekopara I think it was on the anime, they hired all new voice actors to voice characters.
Ah, nice.
All the novices, something like that. Again, giving an opportunity for new people to try. Come on.
But yeah, that's all I really have to say about Mamiya so far. I know the premise is a little bare bones. That's what I have to work with because there's things that happen. Like, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a spoiler or if it's okay to say this stuff.
I see. Yeah.
So we'll see where things go in the future. You been up to anything else, MR?
Yes, I have. In recent episodes, I told you my distaste, or rather distrust of episodic VNs, but I heard so much good about 9-9 that I had to try it out. So I've been reading 9-9 episode 1. How to best describe it? It's a story about superpowers and a mystery surrounding those powers. You follow the footsteps of a protagonist who lives his normal student days in a normal high school setting. La la la. You heard that setting before, right? But there's a twist. There's some strange items that grant strange supernatural powers. And now the plot thickens. You quickly establish one character with a superpower, and then you find out that there has been a murder in the park. Someone got turned into stone. And now let's track the culprit. And that's the setup for the first episode. I have to say about that one. First and foremost, I need to get this out of my chest, okay? I hate their choice system. I really despise that. This game, in my opinion, would be so much better as a kinetic novel. And I don't say that lightly. I really felt like their choice system wasted my time. So far. That's my opinion on it. But the story itself and how they weave superpowers, I think I like it. Oh, it's super hard, okay? Listen. If you have a setting and you can deduce mystery, we established that before. The best mysteries that are the ones that give you clues so you can solve them, right? Okay. Now you throw something unnatural, something super powerful to the mix. So then another layer of mystery of who did it is how they utilized powers to do it and how that would narrow it down or make it more difficult to find. Okay? Are you following with me?
Course,
now,
yeah.
And now that part, I'm not sure if I like it or not. Because people can have multiple powers you don't know about, now you don't know whether or not there's another one to circumvent other ones and make it unpredictable, all your deductions. Is that better or worse? I don't know.
That is the perils of having a mystery, supernatural genre.
And to be honest, having a limit saying like, oh, each character have one superpower doesn't solve anything. Slight spoiler, on Hello Lady, that limitation can manifest itself into, I have superpowers of control of superpowers. And like you're like, oh my, don't do. This is like wishing from Genie more wishes. The same problem.
Oh dear.
You circumvent the limitation itself. Ugh. So again, I'm not sure if I like it or not yet. I kind of like how both you as reader and they as Scooby-Doo mystery gang solving the crime try to deduce who did it and how they did it based upon the result. Someone has been turned into stone. I really like that idea. But every time when the conclusion is, but maybe they use more powers and I don't know, I'm like, oh, how can I deduce anything if there's so much unknown?
Exactly. Now, so I just want to ask though, the 9 series is sci-fi, but there's still mystery involved, right?
Is it sci-fi though? I would say it's more of a fantasy because
Fantasy, okay.
Because items grant you power in a mysterious and explained way. It's not like a scientific explainable way, unless I don't know, me having an item is enough an explanation for you to be scientific. Right? So I would, based upon that, I would categorize more of a fantasy setting. Or like fantasy elements in a normal Japan setting. It's so weird.
Interesting. Well, because I'm not familiar with the 9 series. I've heard things about it that make me feel like I would really enjoy the series. Without, just based on the things I like plot-focused mysteries and characterization and whatnot. I've also heard that the episode 1 isn't the strongest, and it gets much better in the future episodes.
Oh, that's actually promising because despite what I said about choices, I actually really enjoy episode 1.
Ah, okay, then that's perfect. Looks like you're off to a good start.
Yeah, because the two things I want to outline and why I really wanted to get it off of my chest. I really didn't like the choices. Like those, just no, go away with that.
Okay.
So far, I really did not like. And the other part is the uncertainty about the deductions. I don't know. I kind of probably ultimately I don't like it, but I'm still on fence on that. But I think how they did powers interwoven into stories and characters and have a very cool feedback loop is really well done. And I think there's a particular way of writing protagonist perspective that is uncanny when he loses control of his actions. That is very well presented here. A lot of VNs do some sort of third perspective, for example. You seduce protagonists, you hypnotize them, something like that. And you switch perspectives, so your side character is now seeing what is happening to protagonist.
Oh,
but they write everything from his perspective, even if he's not in his own control. And that is so cool. When you, as a reader, know the memories he forgot because he was manipulated. I'm like, okay.
Oh, interesting.
I really like that. This is written.
Of course,
I like that.
The fact that you're mentioning some sort of hypnotism or whatever in a murder mystery sort of setting is kind of another red flag for me, though. It's a little scary.
I know. I put it as an umbrella term because it has some limitations, but I wanted to showcase.
Okay.
I don't know how far to say what I wanted to describe. Yes, sometimes you, as a reader, follow footsteps of protagonists really closely, but then you read a line and like you have a dissonance. Like, wait, that's not how he thinks. No, wait, he should know that. And they create those situations really nicely. I like that so far. So far, I really like that.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll have to hear more in the future of how much you like the 9-9 series as it develops.
Yep.
Maybe the opinion will change. We'll find out.
We'll find out. Oh, and I like the plushie that I put screenshots of.
The mascot character? Okay.
There's something hilarious about that mascot that just
Okay.
just flies around, changes colors, and its sounds is so grating on your ears. And this is combination so funny to me. I laugh every time.
Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, if you like it, then I guess that's the most important part.
Exactly.
The reader.
Yep. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So with that being said, thank you very much, everybody, for listening in to this week's Readport. I hope we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you. See you next week.